Hey, everybody, it's Eddie from Tokyo. This is a very special update, and it is going to be a little different today. We're going to, yes, talk about crypto, but we're also going to talk about some other sectors because I have Linda Jones with me, who is really interesting that she has been doing investing in lots of sectors for a very long time. And I think she's going to bring us some insight that I'm personally very curious to hear about. So I'll let I'll let you introduce yourself, Linda, and just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Well, I'm originally from the Seattle area and lived there most of my life. After graduating from college there, I went into the investment industry, worked for a brokerage firm, and ended up working in New York on Wall Street and in the World Trade Center, and then came back to Seattle and got married and was still in the investment industry. And a few years later, my husband passed away very suddenly. But before that, I had been successful investing and made my first $2 million by age 39. And after he passed away, I really did a reevaluation of my life and decided that I didn't want to work for Wall Street firms anymore. I wanted to help the everyday investor understand investing in an easy way to help them get their money working harder for them, and to do everything in plain English without the jargon, without the complication, just simplify it as much as I could, make it very understandable. And so I have an online business where I have clients and we invest together. And a couple of years ago, I added crypto to the list when I became familiar with XRP and fell in love with the technology and saw the potential of the improvements that they could make in the banking system, and with lower fees and faster delivery and faster transactions per second, et cetera. I was just really enamored with the whole thing. And so from there, we expanded into some of the other ISO 20022 cryptos because I felt that was the new banking system. And then I wrote a book about it. So I just came out with a book last November, 3 Steps to Quantum Wealth, The Wealth Heiress's Guide to Financial Freedom by Investing in Cryptocurrencies, which is my second book. So
I've seen a couple of people on Twitter post some reviews. And so I think it's people are enjoying that book. And you also have an amazing podcast, right? With an incredible amount of downloads that have occurred. And then you rank in like the top 5 and top 3 and #1 channel for women investing. And I mean, it's pretty impressive.
Thank you. Well, it's the top 1% globally in terms of downloads. And I started in 2014 and just really, again, started with investing in all different types of financial topics, and then moved into crypto too. And so recently, some of my crypto podcasts really got caught up in the whirlwind on social media. And so, yeah, I've been noticed by a lot more people in the crypto community, and they've been very welcoming to me. So it's been fun.
That's good. Yeah, I'm impressed with the amount of content you have. I mean, I think you have over 1,000 episodes, right? That's unbelievable. I mean, as a content creator, I really understand the amount of work it takes to get to that level. That is amazing, really.
I do 3 a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and they're short. They're mostly under 15 minutes, so that busy people don't have to spend a lot of time to be really up to date with their finances. I think that's really important to make use of our time and not have people have to, spend hours and hours every day trying to figure things out, but to really shorten things for them, just point out what they need to know and where they need to invest, what they need to pay attention to, and what I think are going to be some of the best investments this year. So we're going to talk about that.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what I want to focus on, but I want to branch out a little bit wider than just sticking to crypto. I want to look at some other sectors. So I had written down, real estate, precious metals, traditional markets, DeFi, crypto, and collectibles. I think those are all categories people can relate to. And so for real estate, and we don't have to go into great depth. I'm just kind of curious to hear, because in real estate, people, what do you do? Commercial, residential? Should I do something that is tokenized now, because there's tokenized real estate? You can actually participate in the security tokens. They started doing that in Japan. They're doing commercial buildings that actually bring you a return, based on the percentage of the fractional ownership. So I'm just kind of curious, for today's environment for real estate, what stands out for you?
Well, my opinion is the real estate market has been one of the best performing asset classes for over 20 years. And that is a lot to do with interest rates and the interest rate environment that we've had, and declining interest rates, low interest rates. And, with COVID, everything sort of just really accelerated. And of course, there wasn't inventory. So you had low interest rates, but then you had lack of inventory, and then you had higher demand. So all those things made real estate really strong and really increased dramatically in the last couple of years. And a lot of people have felt that we were going to see a real estate crash this year. And many, many financial experts are calling for that this year. And I really don't see that this year. I feel that when you look at interest rates, I don't think we're going to get the 7 interest rate increases that the Federal Reserve was talking about at the beginning of the year. We just got one. So we got our 1/4%, which I said that would happen in my January forecast. And I think we're going to get a second increase in the back half of the year, but I really am not seeing more than just a 0.5% for the whole year. So I don't think we're anywhere near the 7 hikes. I think that's going to be very bullish for the market. And so I'm expecting that the stock market will turn around and be more bullish as people like the fact that the Fed gave a little bit of an interest rate hike to help inflation. But it's not enough to crash the real estate market. And I think once we get through some of the issues with Russia and Ukraine, the market can get back on track. But back to real estate, I think that helps to hold interest rates down, which will help the real estate market stay high. And so residential real estate, I'm predicting, is going to have a good year this year. And I don't think we're going to have a crash this year. And I think in terms of other real estate investments, I would look at apartments would be another one I think would do very well, more than commercial real estate. Now, in the States, it might be different than in Japan, but in the States, we had a lot of issues with shopping malls. We had a lot of issues in terms of people not going to the malls as much, stores having trouble, some of the malls closing. We also had issues with people who thought that they were going to expand their office space and then decided not to, and then office space started contracting. So I wouldn't be in the office space area. I wouldn't be in the shopping mall area. I would be in apartments, nursing homes, things like that. So I think you have to be kind of separating some of the real estate. It's hard to paint a broad brush for it, but I do think residential is still going to be okay. Probably until about 2024. I think then that's maybe when we get our crashes, around 2024, 2025, something like that. I think we will have a sharp pullback in real estate, but it's just not yet.
Yeah. Yeah. Your nursing home one, or elderly care house, or they have daycare centers here in Japan where you don't spend the night, you just go for the day for elderly people. And this is an aging society, but yeah, I think in populations that are going backwards in the wrong direction, not expanding, that's a really good, insightful tip. How about precious metals? I just am getting interested in these in the last couple of years.
Oh, good for you. Well, precious metals are my #1 pick for this year.
Really?
Yeah, they are. We did great in 2020. Silver was the #1 performing asset, up 115% that year. And I've been a silver fan for a while. I think that everyone should have, if they want to invest in silver, have some physical silver in their possession, because it's getting harder and harder to come by. And although silver is around $25 an ounce today, you can't really get it for that. At least here, the premiums are $7 over that, $9 over that. You can't really get your hands on it. It's harder. The supplies are getting lower. The mints aren't putting out the product anymore. And then even some of the mines have shut down.
Yeah.
So
So the bullion is good. I mean, I like those, but you have to register if you, at least this is in Japan, you have to register if you buy over a certain amount. And you also are taxed where you're not taxed on jewelry, right? I mean,
Right.
I'm just wondering, like, if there's a lack of liquidity or if the inventory on the bullion, can you go to buying sterling silver, or is that just kind of taking a, oh, sorry, go ahead. Is that just not a good second choice?
Well, that would fall more into the junk silver category, which is just
Yeah.
sort of like any scrap of silver, anything you can, melt down, whether it's a tooth filling or a silver tray or a silver necklace, bracelet, any of that could be considered junk silver that you could melt down. And ultimately, whatever the price per ounce of silver is going to sell for is, it's going to sell for. So yes, it will ultimately benefit from higher prices. But it's just going to be a little more complicated probably to get it, but in terms of getting your money out of it. But yeah, I mean, I think that, silver is cheaper than it was 40 years ago. There's not much we can say that about, probably nothing else. It's been paper contracts of silver have been holding the value of silver down so that it doesn't compete with the fiat paper money system. So the banks generally short silver. So they take paper contracts of silver, they sell them into the market, they borrow them and sell them, and then hope that the price goes down so they can buy it back lower and make the difference between what they sold it for and what they can buy it back for. So they, sell it at 25, buy it back at 20 and make the difference. And that's been going on for a very long time. And it's manipulated the price of silver and kept it low. And silver is actually rarer than gold. So it's needed for solar equipment and cell phones and computers and, solar panels and electric cars, electric vehicles. So it's something that's needed in industry, but it's also used in jewelry, but it's also a money. And so we're hoping that at some point, the real price of silver can break free and the market value will rise to the level it should be at, which is much higher than $25.
Well, that one big bank that we won't mention, but we all know who it is, they just were fined a lot of money for manipulating silver, right?
That's
So
right.
is it still going to, you're telling me that it still is going to be manipulated though, to a degree, right? It's kind of sounds that way.
Sometimes these fines are levied and the behavior doesn't change. And we've seen that in the banking world with other practices. And unfortunately, no one ever goes to jail. So yeah, it's just a slap on the wrist. It's not even a fine that takes back all the profits that they made. So it's still a profitable situation.
Yeah.
So
It's
not
like
a
almost sounds like it's worth their risk to do it. Terrible.
Yeah.
Traditional markets. This is, I'm thinking when I say that, I'm thinking stocks or ETFs or bonds, things that have been around for financial instruments for a long time. What's interesting there?
Well, I'm a big fan of ETFs, which are exchange traded funds. And that's like the S&P 500 is an index fund. It's an index of the 500 largest companies in the US. And you can buy ETFs, indexes of just about anything. You can buy them of, for example, work from home ETF. So technology that is advantageous if you work from home, or you can buy gold mining ETFs, silver mining ETFs. So just about anything you can think of, you can buy an index of multiple companies, and with one investment, you buy them all in the ETF. And it's very inexpensive to do that. The fees are low, and it's a very convenient way to invest. So typically what we do is we follow a very traditional asset allocation of investing. That means that any financial advisor you would typically go to, and I'm not a financial advisor, but I just provide my opinions and my investment selections, and then people invest their own money. So I'm helping them be a better investor. And so typically I'll provide an asset allocation model. So we have some large companies, some medium-sized companies called mid caps, smaller companies called small caps, international, maybe emerging markets like the BRICS countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. We might have some real estate in our portfolio, and then we'll choose some sector ETFs. So we might have, the gold and silver mining ETFs, which I've held for years, and we like those, and then other sectors too. So that's how we build out a portfolio, and that's what we recommend for just our traditional investing portfolio. But I think that I think the stock market's going to come back strong. I think the second and third quarter are going to be very strong. People are going to be surprised. It might even be part of possibly a crack up boom, which is when the currency can lose value and physical assets rise in value against the currency. So we could see real estate go higher. We could see stocks go higher. We could see precious metals go higher. We could see a lot of things move up and the value of the dollar go down. Mm-hmm. So I think stocks are going to be very strong, and they're a good buy here.
And I imagine with the emphasis on everything going green or having less of a carbon footprint, there's kind of a new sector emerging, I would guess, also too, right? So I'm kind of trying to stay on top of what's going on there, but maybe that's still forming and emerging into the space. But I think there's going to be some interesting selection there.
Yeah, I think electric vehicles, lithium batteries, some of the green energy, solar panels. There's, a lot of very interesting new technologies. And that's one of the things I wrote about in my book, was just that we're getting into something I call the quantum age, which is where I think we're going to have this big leap forward in progress, where, we are going to have flying cars. We are going to travel to outer space. We are going to, have incredible new medical technologies. And just, I think the leap forward that we're going to see in the next 20 years is going to be amazing for us. And it's very exciting.
Yeah, so fast, right? The next one was DeFi. That's really come on strong, of course, in the crypto space. I think it's going to move more to mainstream because the UI is going to get better for everybody. And people will feel like there'll be a dashboard that's probably very similar to what investors are used to now, very soon. But in terms of platforms, do you have any favorites, or do you have anything that's caught your eye?
Well, I'm really excited about the Flare network, and I can't wait for Flare to do their airdrop, which should be hopefully this month. And I'm expecting that there's going to be 6 different ways that we can earn passive income. And so I'm very excited to, be learning about that after the airdrop, and just what all the opportunities are and things like that. I've been a little bit reluctant to do, some of the things that might require you to lock up your crypto or to stake and things like that. I've been very conservative that way, and just, really had our cryptos locked up tight. But I think Flare is going to be very interesting, and they're going to provide some very interesting opportunities for passive income.
Yeah, I would imagine that some of those FTSO providers, what they're doing for Songbird, where you still retain your custody, and you're able to do the delegating and return, you get rewards every week. So maybe that'll also still be available. There are some, there's different degrees of risk, right? In DeFi. Yeah, definitely.
A little algo. Yeah, algo was available. We were getting a 4% return on Coinbase, and they just recently lowered it to 0.45%.
Yeah.
So it's
sometimes they get you in on a high ROI, and then as soon as they build out their platform with people, they bring it down that's been kind of common across the board, except for maybe Celsius seems to be doing a pretty good job at keeping some very, very good returns, and not bringing people in and then lowering the price, so yeah,
they're intriguing. They intrigue me. I don't know about the level of risk there in terms of possible hacking or things like that. I'm a little concerned about that. What do you think about that?
I think that any centralized entity has those risks. And so that, but you know, that is just existent in any sort of centralized architecture. So yeah, I don't know. I'm doing a little bit of farming and staking on BitTrue. And I know that there are platforms out there that have insurance, you know, so you can sign up for GateHub, for example, has insurance, and you can trade on GateHub now. And they're not doing staking or farming, I don't believe, but I mean the offering of insurance is out there on different platforms. So if you really feel risk adverse and you don't want to take that chance, I mean, I think you can seek those platforms out that have those insurance. I think Coinbase is also offering insurance in some of their offerings. So yeah, it's out there. Just that's a real individual decision, right?
It is, and I just feel like because people are relying on me, I sometimes err on the more conservative side.
Yeah.
And I know that we might be passing up some opportunities, but I just feel like the cryptos that we're invested in, I'm so enthusiastic about their future.
You don't want to lose them. Yeah.
I want us to, you know, lock them up and protect them. And I just was saying today on another interview I was on that, you know, I just urged everybody to lock up their XRP in particular. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm using the Sum app for my XRP. I feel pretty secure with Sum. And then my Songbird is all on Bifrost because I'm delegating. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think also too, I'm not giving necessarily advice, just saying what I do. I actually spread all my risk out, you know, where I'm not using just one way to cold storage. I have multiple cold storage, as I do have multiple places that I might be farming and staking, because you don't want to just put all your eggs in one basket. That's what you don't want to do.
That's right. So we've got the Nano, we've got our Decent wallet.
Yeah, I have I use a Kobo. I use a Kobo, and I'm going to get Decent because I'm really pleased with the Decent selection. It's amazing.
Yeah. It's so much easier for people to understand how to use, and I love the biometric.
Yeah, there's 3 different ways you can go. I know. Yeah, but there are some really good cold storage sources out there. Anyway, that's good. Okay, let's go to crypto. I mean, I know you love XRP, right? But what else is kind of interesting?
Well, we started with XRP. We added XLM, Algo, IOTA, XDC.
Oh yeah,
and I love anything on the XRP ledger. It really catches my attention because I really feel like in the future, that's where the action's going to be. It has the lowest fees, and it's such an amazing place, I think, for developers to, you know, to bring their crypto. And we also have benefited from some of the airdrops. So having an airdrop like Elysian has been very interesting. I think that's going to be a great NFT marketplace. And I just feel like very excited about being a part of that. I already told you Flare, we're interested and excited about that. Of course, the smart contracts with Flare. And then we have Evers coming at the end of April, which is our airdrop for XRP, which is going to be 2 smart contracts. So I love that. Sologenic.
Solo.
That is great, and love the exchange. And so I think just, you know, we got the airdrops on XRP, and then now we're getting airdrops and airdrops like Corian on Solo.
Solo.
Yeah. So
yeah, it's really icing on the cake, isn't it?
It really is, and it's been fun to watch and just to see how things are developing, coming along. And, you know, it was like NFTs made this big splash, and then it was like, well, you're going to have an airdrop of Elysian, and that's going to be an NFT marketplace. And we're like, oh my gosh, that's just amazing, you know? So yeah, it's been really exciting. And of course, I personally do dabble in a lot of crypto, so I own quite a few. But in terms of our portfolio, I think we have around 19 now that we're totally invested in. So it's been a fun, exciting time. And I just feel like we are so early in this marketplace. We don't even have legislation yet. We don't have the bubble that I think will come in the future, you know, having lived through that in the internet, having lived through it in real estate. You know, I wrote about all the aspects of what a bubble looks like. And I don't feel that we're anywhere close to being in a bubble at all right now in crypto. And I think we have years to go, but I think that day is coming when everybody will be investing in crypto. The big wave of money will come. The brokerages will be able to put their clients in crypto and custody it. And it's going to be an amazing experience, but I just don't think we're there yet. I think we're very, very early still.
Yeah, we're nowhere close to where people will be going into their bank, and maybe not going in physically, but will be through their online banking, looking at the offerings that Wells Fargo has, and you'll be able to just, you know, they'll make it so easy for the clients to be able to get exposure to all this new asset class. It's going to be amazing. I know. And the last one is collectibles. That's maybe the most fun, because I'm thinking anything from art to, I mean, you name it. People collect everything in this world. I don't think there is anything people don't collect. So what is some of the favorite collectibles for your portfolio?
Well, as a younger person, I was a coin collector, and my late husband was a stamp collector. But as an adult, I'm an art collector. So you can
see that. Yeah.
Those are part of my collection. I have many, many paintings that I've collected over the years, and it's been something that it's just been a passion of mine to follow different artists and own different artists. Some older and in the past that, you know, are long gone, and some that are more contemporary. But I think, you know, now that we're getting into a time of higher inflation, this kind of asset is going to have more appreciation than it has for a while, being in a low inflationary environment. We were getting some appreciation, but nowhere close to where I think we're going to be going with artworks. So it's going to be very exciting to see what that market does.
Yeah, and I'm really also interested in the fractionalized ownership too. I'm involved with Liquid Marketplace as an advocate, and they have a launch coming up very soon. I can't talk about it, but I can tell you that there are some really exciting things that they're bringing to the market. So yeah, I think that this is going to be not only fun, which I think everyone should have fun when they're investing, but also I think it's going to be a very amazing liquidity increase, because a lot of collectibles are illiquid, right? And you can buy them, but it's not so easy to sell them. And if you did sell, you sometimes found yourself going to galleries that would take a 60-40 split. You know, you'd get 60, they take 40. And Sotheby's and Christie's is not for the average person out there. You have to have a different class. And even though they still take a big hefty chunk of the sale too. So I think this is going to democratize the trading of collectibles, and it'll allow people to own things that they never could do on their own, because you're doing co-ownership with people. So anyway, I'm really kind of excited about that. I won't go into that for this video. I want to know if Well, we talked a little bit about this right before. I still don't think we have the answer. Well, the answer I think we both came up with, that if Ripple does go public but goes public in another country and you own the equity shares, what happens? And I think we both pretty much could agree upon, I guess it depends on what country they do. If they were to IPO outside of the US, it's totally dependent on where they would IPO, and we don't know that, so we can't really answer that question. But that's just been something that I've been always thinking about. However, since they're doing pretty darn well in the current decisions coming out for the court case, I think they're going to stay in the United States. I think you think so too, right?
I do. I think so. And I am a Ripple shareholder, and I'm also an SBI shareholder, as another Ripple play, if you will.
Yeah.
Because I believe in the company and what they're doing and how unique it is in the technology. And yeah, I think you could buy it on the Link2 platform, LINQTO, and they are approved in 68 different countries.
Yeah.
So I think there's a way that you can
They got it covered.
hold it and liquidate through their platform. And it's a very easy platform to use. And they have a multitude of some great companies to invest in. And the nice thing about investing in a company pre-IPO is you have the opportunity to really get big gains when that company does go public, and to buy at a much lower valuation than you could when the company goes public. Now, there's of course more risk, they say, and that's why it's for accredited investors only, which for our audience, for people who either make $200,000 a year or joint income of 300,000 or have $1 million of net worth outside of their primary residence, or have a Series 7 license or other series registrations. Or you get a letter from your accountant stating that you're an accredited investor, or your attorney, I guess, too. So any of those things will qualify you to be able to buy stock pre-IPO and on the Link2 platform and others. And yeah, I mean, they say it's higher risk, but you know, I think if you do your homework and it's an established company that's profitable, that you know, the gains can be astounding. And that's one of the things I love about crypto, though. And I did a podcast about it. Is it a better investment to invest in Ripple stock or to invest in XRP? And the answer and conclusion I came to was actually that XRP was the better investment, because I think percentage wise, first of all, you don't have an initial investment amount like you do with an IPO of $10,000. With XRP, you know, you can pay 75 cents, I guess, for one XRP. But just the percentage gains potential that XRP has, I think is so enormous. And while it's great for Ripple as well, I think percentage wise, it's probably bigger for XRP, just because we're still starting at such a smaller amount and valuation and price. So yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah, I think the private equity just has one more moving part, and that one more moving part of whether or not they go public or not is what maybe puts it in that next level up of risk. So because you're factoring in one more factor. Yeah.
Yeah, and some of them do get bought out pre-IPO, so they don't go public, so they can
You
get
mean like
out.
through a reverse merger or through a SPAC or something like that?
Yeah, or an acquisition. Yeah, so I understand that something just was bought out and isn't going to go public, and so on the Link2 platform. So yeah, that can happen. And
but that's not, don't you, doesn't it convert over to the shares of the public company that acquired them?
well, if that company's public, but if they're
Oh,
not
if the company's, but if they're not public.
yeah,
And that
as well, then.
And but you know what? Yeah, but I'm just thinking now, you know, MoneyGram just was taken private, and those shareholders didn't have any say, and they're just the price was just determined for them, you know. And so if you look at, I mean, we're talking about risk, you know, Well, it's risky even to buy a public company because they also can be taken private. So yeah, that, so I guess I don't believe that maybe it's more risky. I think it's, everything has its moving parts to it. Yeah. Downside to private equity, that was one of my questions. Is there, I mean, I guess the downside would be it doesn't IPO. Is there any other downside?
I mean, if they had some sort of change, if like COVID caused some sort of problem, they went out of business, that's it could potentially happen. They don't have access to the liquidity that you do in your publicly traded company. That's one of the reasons to go public, is for the liquidity and selling your treasury shares so that you have, excess capital
runway
and can easily expand and have access to capital, sell more shares, whatever. So I think, yeah, if they had some sort of change in their structure or lack of profitability, some material change that adversely impacted them, that could happen.
Yeah, markets do change. So, and sometimes certain things come, change happens without having any forward knowledge of it at all, that it just happens. Sorry,
right.
I have a jumping cat. That's Momo. She is always always in the way. How about okay, this was my last question, and then we'll do a little bit of just easy rapid fire questions. But where are your sources? Who are your sources? How do you keep up? Because this space is changing so fast. I mean, just paying attention only to crypto is like, wow, difficult. But if you're paying attention to more than one sector, what do you think? What's the best? Are you doing YouTube? Or are you doing other podcasts? Or are you reading things? Are you watching some program? What is it?
Well, believe it or not, I use a lot of different sources. I have a lot of different research that I do, but I tend to go direct to the source. So I will listen to interviews with the CEO of the company. I will listen to, a presentation they made on stage. So I tend to try to get it from the horse's mouth. That's the best research that I have. And then I've become very skilled at using the internet for researching, and even Twitter. I have sources that I have immediately notifying me. So in the morning, I just scroll through all my notifications and just know in a very few minutes of time exactly everything that's going on, all the news and everything. I can just read it all right there. And then if I want to know more about a topic, just dig into a hashtag and you can find out anything you want to know about that topic. But generally I'm a financial nut. So I read everything financial. I'm fascinated by everything financial and I research everything. And so it's generally from the source, though. I typically don't go through an intermediary. I don't watch financial news on television, for example. Occasionally we'll watch some YouTubers, including you.
Oh, that's nice of you to say, but I don't see, yeah, there are some good researchers out there,
Oh yeah, they're doing a good job. They're doing a very good job with it. And yeah, no, there's some top notch for sure.
Lynn Alden is one that's my favorite, and she's so bright, and I have to sometimes listen to her videos twice because it's so, yeah, it's so advanced. Her macro strategies and her knowledge is just amazing. But yeah, well, the good thing is, though, we're in an age where that information is accessible now. I mean, we're not just reading a one-day-old Wall Street journal, are we? Looking down the printed. I mean, I can remember those days. You were working off the newspaper, off a printed stock chart.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, for a lot of years, I loved Investors Business Daily. That was the core of my investing for a long time. And today, I think the unfortunate thing is there's a lot of bias in financial news, and they're trying to sway you toward one way or another rather than really giving you the story, the real, down the middle. So yeah, we have some challenges today, and I think as for us being kind of journalists and getting the news out, me through a podcast, you through your videos, we have that responsibility of trying to present the case that's from the facts. And
yeah, if you saw my tweet, I went really deep yesterday. A couple of times somebody was trying to tie Ripple as a partner to the clearinghouse, and I can find a lot of partnerships announced for the clearinghouse that are Ripple partners, but never has there been in anything that I could find. And everyone was also searching too, because they were like, no, Eddie, you're wrong. Okay, show me where there has been an official announcement. And as far as I can tell, there's been no public announcement that they are an official partner of the clearinghouse. And I don't think people understood that Wells Fargo is one of the owners of the clearinghouse. So that announcement they made anyway, yeah, but you're right. And maybe some people are surprised or get disappointed when I throw cold water or shade on some kind of hype thing with whatever in the crypto space. But I really do feel that way too, that it's kind of my responsibility to, when it's not factual, is to call it out. And so I do. And I know that's not really popular with everybody, but I don't think I could feel good about not doing it.
We all make mistakes too. Nobody's perfect.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I think
definitely.
that
yeah, someone might still find the official announcement, and then I can say, wow, great job finding that. I couldn't find it, So yeah, definitely. We all do make mistakes. That's for sure.
Let's do the best that we can.
Yeah. All right. You ready for a little bit of, these are fun.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to ask 2 questions, and I'm also going to give you just a word, and I want you to tell me what the first thing that pops into your mind. But on this first question, if you come to Tokyo, what kind of food do you want to eat?
Well, I'd have to have sushi.
So,
I had sushi today, in fact.
Did you?
California. So yeah, I'd have to have fresh sushi in Tokyo for sure.
Do you have a favorite? There's so many different kinds of sushi.
It's different, all different ones. I don't have really one particular one.
Yeah, you can eat anything though. You not squirmish.
No, I don't eat it all. No, I don't eat it all for sure. I don't eat sashimi and that kind of stuff, and I am not into all the raw fishes and whatever. But a little bit of tuna maybe, and some more vegetable oriented ones, and maybe some salmon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Next one, in a 60-second idea that you have to change the world, what would it be?
Wow.
Yeah, it's a deep one.
Does it have to be original or?
Oh no, you could, if you heard something great from someone else, then definitely borrow it.
Wow. Well, I would just, I think in the investment space where I live, I just think that it can be made easier for people. I just think the simplification is so important for people to really understand and to take out all the complicated words and lingo and foreign language and all of that just doesn't need to be there. And break it down into plain English that anyone can understand, and give people that education early on in life. I mean, here life is so difficult economically, and yet we leave it completely out of school curriculum. and it's ridiculous. So
It
yeah,
is,
I
isn't
think
it?
giving people important training about how to invest and how to think properly about money and make some good decisions, because I think that's all educational and learnable, and it's really a disgrace that we're not doing that with young people. So
It's really unbelievable, isn't it? There was Chip and Jeff, who are they have their own channel called On the Chain. They had a gentleman on in the last 2 weeks, and his specialty is focusing on teaching kids, not just crypto, but in finance in general, like 18 and under. His target market is 18 and under. So we're starting to see a little bit of change, which I thought was really good.
well, I always love it when people are multi-generational listening to my podcast, and that happens where the grandparents and the parents listen, and then they get the kids to listen, the grandkids. It's pretty awesome.
Have you ever met Susie Orman?
I have not.
No, she's one that I listened to many years ago. You know, my kind of first exposure to somebody talking about your personal finances. She was definitely the first person who had that impact on me. Yeah.
Yeah, she wasn't one of my favorites. I resonated with Robert Kiyosaki quite a
Oh
bit.
yeah. Yeah. My dad found him on YouTube. He loves him. He's
still
always telling me what he's just had his show about. Yeah.
I enjoyed his books a lot. They impacted me a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the Rich Dad, Poor Dad,
Poor
right?
Dad,
That's
yeah.
the one that everybody seems to really gravitate towards. He's amazing too. He has been able to stay current in this space, which I think has just been great. Yeah, I respect him a lot too. Okay, here's your one question. And this is a question I've asked other people, so it's funny to hear the same word, but hear the different diversity in the answers. Okay, I'm going to give you actually it's 2 words, but 2 words, and then the first thing that pops into your mind. Ready?
Okay.
David Schwartz.
Genius. That's one word. Genius developer.
Yeah, it's a good one. That one has not been said before, but I totally concur. It's perfect for him. He's amazing, right?
Oh
I can't believe how much info he can pack in a 60-second time frame. How much he can pack in just in 60 seconds. Unbelievable.
Yeah,
how fast his brain goes.
He's an incredibly impressive human, I have to say.
Yeah, he's pretty. He's got an absolutely wonderful sense of humor too. You know, that humor comes out on Twitter quite a lot.
Oh, great sense of humor. Yeah.
Well, anything that you want us to know before we let you go?
Gosh, just, come to my website at lindapjones.com, check out all my podcasts. They're all there for free, and you can use the search box to put in any topic you want to know more about. And yeah, it's been great, Eddie. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I enjoyed it because I asked you all the questions that I really personally wanted to know, and I'm really thrilled that we were able to share them with everybody. And keep doing what you're doing, because the space just loves you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. We will talk soon, I'm sure. And do take care. Okay. Sayonara for now. Bye-bye.
Bye.